So today we are actually going to look at data validation. Data validation. Uh, when we hear the word, or let's say yes, the term data validation, we can like cast our mind to the term itself and then try to deduce what data validation will mean. So we can see that there are at least two words in there, data and validation. And by somebody saying that they are validating data, that means they are making the data pure from any errors, or they are making sure that whatever the data is going to be used is pure. So data validation is like you are making the data accurate, pure, and no, like without any errors in them. Or let's put it that way. In Excel, data validation is meant to ensure that whatever data is being put into, or whatever value is being put into a cell, is what is meant to be there. Whatever value is being put into a cell is what is meant to be there. When you go to the Excel ribbon, in the tabs, you are going to find data. You are going to find data. Now, data hosts a myriad of stuff. But what we are going to look at, we are not going to look at all these areas. This is for making databases, importing data and exporting data and all that. We are actually going to look at data tools. We are going to the category of data tools. We are going to the data tools category. Yesterday we did sort and filter. We are going to the data tools category. And in the data tools category, we are going to look at just one item. You see, in the data tools, you have text to columns. Another interesting feature, you have text to columns. Then this is flash fill. We've done all those auto fill, and yeah. Then this is duplicates remover. Then here, sorry, here is data consolidation. But we are going to look at data validation. We are going to look at data validation. Great. So in data validation, let's click on this, and then I want us to first understand what is inside of this data validation. Then we will move on to using it. So when we talk of data validation has basically three categories or three sections where you can use to make your data look pure for the user, whoever is going to input values inside your cells. Now, the first one is the settings. Inside the category is the settings. Second one, we call it the input message. The input message. Then the third one, we call it the error alert. The error alert. Now, what do all of these do? The settings area is where you actually set your validation criteria. And the validation criteria, you will have allow and then data. The allow actually lets you decide what must go into the cell. What kind of value must go into a cell? Now, let's just say I have cell. Let me increase the size of this. Let's just say I've selected cell F5, cell F5, and I'm going to do some data validation in cell F5. By default, Excel allows any value to go in any cell. By default, every cell accepts anything at all that you type in. So I can type in something like a text. Sorry, yes, I can type in a string. This is a string. It will accept it. I can type in a decimal at the same place. Excel will accept it. I can type in an integer and Excel will accept it. I can type in floating numbers. I can even type infinity number. Anything you put in there, dates, scientific notations, everything Excel will accept. But in some cases, you wouldn't want people to actually enter just anything in there. Probably you want only values to be in there. So let's go back to looking at data validation. So we are using cell F5. So by default, you see that it says any value. So cell F5 allows any value to be in there. Now, when you select the drop down, once you understand what happens in here, using them will be very easy for you. Now, here will accept whole numbers. Now, the second option is whole number, a whole number. So whole number, you can let it decide the data. How is the data going to be? So it's going to be probably between whole numbers between a certain value and a certain value. So let's just say I want whole numbers from the minimum 0 to the maximum 100. This means that if I should enter anything like, say, 101 or even -1 in here, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. So let's just try this one and see. If I click OK, now look at this. I'm moving from F to F5 to F4. Then I'm typing in, let's say, 102 in F5. Don't get confused. In F4, 102. But let's come to F5. I'm typing in the same 102. And it is telling me that this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. This is the default message Excel will give you. I don't like this message. You will see how we can change this message to what we like. Like probably we'll give the user an instruction as to what to do. This one is actually stopping you at once from making any further entries. From making any further entries above above 100 or below 0. But there is a way to actually make it just a warning. Then you proceed. You can still use the number, but it is a warning to warn you that what you have entered isn't the value that is supposed to be there. Then you proceed with it. So with this one, if I hit enter, retry, if I say retry, then nothing will work. It won't allow me to keep on and like use the same number that is there. So probably if I change it to 99, it's going to work. So that is about whole numbers. Let me increase the size again. That is about whole numbers. Now, let me delete the 2. So that same cell, let's try something different with data validation. This time round, we are going to look at, okay, for the whole number, you can choose that. I've done the first one. So I believe by the first one, you can actually look at it. And then, so we can have not between. So if I have not between, this time around, if I type 99, it will throw an error at me. Because this time round, it needs a value like, say, 105. So the number shouldn't be between 0 and 100. That is about not between. We can go back again and then look at equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than. So if I select equal to, I won't do any entries. I'm just letting you see. Equal to ask for just the value. So probably here you will say equal to 5, equal to 2, equal to 3. So if the number you are entering is not equal to that number, it will yell at you. Not equal to. So probably you don't want the value in there to be not equal to, let's say, 0. So if you enter, say, 0 there, that means any number you enter there shouldn't be equal to 0, greater than. So all these things, I quite believe, we understand mathematically. Less than and greater than, it's nothing huge to miss. The next thing about data validation, the criteria, the next criteria is decimal. So it's basically like whole number. By this time, this decimal, you see, a whole number is a whole number, a decimal is a decimal point something. So you can also, it also accepts the same data like whole number. The decimal accepts whole values. It accepts data like I love using data like more than values. So if I say data, you know what I mean. So data is a value is data. The last time I told you that even if you enter one is data. Yeah, it is a value, but it is data. Now the next thing you can allow in the validation, very interesting. That is something I want you to pay attention, because I'm going to spend a little bit of time here before we move on to date, time, and text length. So let's go to list. One very, very interesting aspect of the whole thing that we are coming to do today. Now, let me first of all, before I go, let me first of all cancel here, and then probably I need some small data. This is what Mr. Latte dropped in the class yesterday. So I think I'm using pivot tables too. So I want to do something like this. I want to just yeah. So I want to copy this customer ID to see states. Say I want to start from here. So just good. I need some small data for something. So I'm just picking this. Then I'll come to data validation and paste the information here. Let me decrease it a bit. All right. So that's that. So I now have this data. It's as if it is, I don't know if the view is okay, but the view look cluttered to me. Let me, yeah, so that, good. So let's just say that, you see, there are times that something keeps repeating itself. Some items keep repeating themselves. So you may want to create a list, a drop-down list, where the user can select from. Now let's just look at the region here. The region, we have east, west, central, and probably north. East, west, central, and then north. So that means that this thing runs through. What if they weren't there from the beginning? Let's say they weren't there from the beginning. So I would want to clear this one. Sorry. Like I told you the last time, yeah. So for the region, I would like to probably make a drop down where I can select from. I can use data validation for that. So in using data validation, I want to create a list where I can select whether the person is from central, west, north, or east from. So I can come to data validation, and then this time round in the settings allow, I'm going to select list. And you see that when I select list, the data is gone. Now it is telling you to ignore blanks. Always leave this checked. And then always make sure that it is in cell drop down. Good. Now, what is the data we are going to use? I'm going to teach you the two basic ways to enter the data source. Now, the first thing you can do is to enter all the data in here. So what is the source? The source is going to be east, west, so west separated by commas, north, north, central, and then probably south. Let's make it this way. Then I hit OK. Now I should have selected for excuse me, I should have selected for everything. I did for just one, but we can still flash fill or we can still autofill. Yeah, we can still autofill to the down, so that it does no worry. Right now, if I click here, I'm going to get east, west, north, central. Then I select one for it. So I can just autofill downwards. This time, if you double click, the autofilling will not work. So drag. Oh, it's showing me. Delete it first. Delete everything in there first before you drag. So in that way, when I come back here and I can select west, north, can select north again. Yeah, so that's that. Central and south. Good. Now let me try entering something that is not there. Probably let me enter northeast. When I know northeast is not there, and then it will give me an error. So we will, like I said, we will go and handle all these things. Go and look at how we can create our own errors and give it the kind of names that we want. So what about maybe this list that I want to create, I want to create it somewhere. And then now let's just say that I have the list somewhere here. So let's say I want to add something like region. Is there region here? Okay, let's just say I want to, okay, there's region there, that's the region we need. Okay, let's just say we want to add something like gender, anything. I just want to create something. So something like gender. Now the gender that we have here, I don't want to create my list directly from within the data validation, but rather I will be doing it inside data validation by my source. I don't want my source to come from directly within the data validation. Probably my source is seated somewhere here. So my source is here. That maybe gender is male. Then you go to the next line, female. Yes, male, female, or at times you will see prefer not to say. Yeah. So this is my list. You can add as many as you want. You can even create, let's say, the department. So let's use this one. Let's add this one to say department, and then under department, let's just say we are going to have, okay, let this one be there. Let's say we are going to have human, or let me just do it straight, HR, accounts, marketing, let's say security department, security, transport. So these are, let's say, departments that we have. These are the departments that we have. So we can simply come here and select every place that we want the validation to be. Then I will simply come to data validation, come back to the list, and this time around inside of the source. Now check what I'm doing. Inside of the source, I make sure that my cursor is blinking in there. Then I come to select these items. Like that. So I now come to select N3, N7. I hit OK. So now when I come here, you realize that when I do it, it's there. Market, security, HR, accounts, whatever that I want to do. So these are the two common ways of doing them. Now let me use naming as another way. Now let's just say that these okay, let me use this one. So I'm going to name these. There's actually a way to name a range. We didn't go there. Probably we should have touched on that. But if you'll be joining the intermediate and advanced class, you will be learning some of these things. But that one is going to go deeper. It's going to cover more days than this. Now we select these three and we can name them. So let's just name it. Now to name these three, come to the name box. The name box from the beginning of the class, when we were learning the interface, we looked at the name box. Come to the name box and then type in the name you want to give to that particular range of cells you have selected. So I will name it gender. So now check something. When I move from there, you see that the name box has selected key 8. When I select just one cell in there, it will tell me that that cell is M something. But if I select that range of cells, it will pull the name rather. In the same way, if you want to see all the name ranges you have done, let's just say I'm going to name this as department. So I'm naming this as department. When I come here and I click, you realize that there is gender. If I select, it can select. This is bonus knowledge for today. So it will select everything here. Even if you want to get everything in here, you can just come here, select the entire table, and then give it a name. So when you are doing lookups using VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and all that, you can actually use some of these naming techniques to get your items together. Let me go back to gender here. Come back to validation. Then we are still going to do list. And then we will say it is equal to gender, like that. And then we hit OK. Now check. When I come and I do this, it will select the male, female, prefer not to say for me. So in the let's just say this is the another third way, but it's just that we just introduce name ranges. It's still like the second one. By this time around, we just named it. We didn't want to go and do any selection of the sorts and all that. So we just named it, and then we came to how do we call it? We passed the name. So it is equal to the name that we gave. And then we got this one too. So please, if I'm running fast, then you pause me a bit. So that is about this cell. Then this one uses, let's see how this one uses hard-coded names. So the first one, you can hard-code the names in there. For the second strategy, you can go and select the name range in there. You can go and select the name range as we see here. And probably for the 2.5 strategy, you can name the range of cells that contain your data, that contain the source, that is the source of your list. You can name it, then you come back to data validation, and I want to show you this, and then pass the name to it. Somebody might say that maybe the last one is the sweetest, but they are all sweet. It depends on what you are doing. If it's something like you really don't want to put your data anywhere, like you just want it to be there, just about 3 items or 4 items, you don't want it to be there, you can just do it this way. Now let's move on. Let's go to date. See, from all that I have described to you, the most important thing you need to actually get here is probably the list and the text length. For the custom, those who come to the advanced class, we will move to custom. Then we'll look at how we can actually use our personal formulas to do that, to validate data in cells. But now the two most important things for you to know is list and then text length. For date time, is the logic is just like entering. So you can see when I enter date time, it is still between, not between, equal to. The logic is still like entering how do we call it, values, whole numbers or decimals. The logic is still the same thing. When we started this entire training, at some point I told you that dates, as you see in Excel, is just numbers. They are numbers from 1900. So from 1900, read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till today. So the number of days that we have covered from 1900 till today is that value is today's date in Excel. So if you enter that whole value in Excel, if you're able to calculate from 1990 to today, 1900 to today, and you get the number of days, if it is 47,700 and something or 400 and something thousand, and you key in everything in there and you convert the number format, you make the number format in a date, you are going to get a date in there. It's going to tell you that it is today. So the logic is the same. The next thing I want you to get here is the text length, and it is also just like the whole now. It's the data type is like the whole now, but this time round, it's actually letting you enter a specific number of text. If you go more than the text, the required value that you have put there, it will flag you. So let's just say that I want the values in here to be between let's say it is a password that I'm typing. So I want the values in there to be between, say, 6 and or let's just say 6 and 10. So we shouldn't go beyond 10. We shouldn't go below 6. So right now, if I come, oh, sorry, I should have selected another cell for that. Yeah. So let's create a fresh sheet and then do that thing. So let's just see, in this sheet, I've created a fresh sheet. So in this sheet, I've selected, let's say I've selected this cell. So cell B2, I'm going to do that text length in there. So the text length, I come to cell B2, then between. So I choose between, I choose 6 and then 10. I hit OK. So right now, if I enter anything like, say, go, and I hit enter, if I enter a value like go and I hit enter, it will tell you that the value, see, every time we get an error, Excel tells us one thing: this value doesn't match, blah blah blah. We don't want that. Like I said, we don't want that, but we'll be looking at how we can. Well, yesterday, Mr. Latte showed us something small on this, and we saw how beautiful it was. Yeah, we don't want it that this way, but that's not for now. So it's when I entered go, it didn't allow me. Okay, let me enter comma, new comma is 5. So when I enter new comma, it doesn't allow me. So let me enter comment. Then see, it has allowed me to enter comment, because comment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters in there. It has 7 letters in there. Now let me enter commentator. It didn't allow me. Probably it's 11. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But let me remove the O, the R, and then see. It's working. It's working because commentator is short of 1. Short of 1 from the previous is 10. We are talking about 6. We are talking about 6 to 10. Between 6 and 10. Oh, sorry. Between 6 and 10. So 6 minimum should be 6 and the maximum should be 10. Anything we enter, so you can use this to actually restrict people from entering unnecessary data in or unnecessary values in some cells. I will drop a bonus something too. I will drop protection bonus. Yeah, last time we told you that every cell in Excel is automatically locked. Automatically it is locked. But when you are using it, you think it is open until you protect the worksheet. That is when you realize that, hey, saying other cells, I cannot just type anything in there when it is protected. And there is a way to leave some open and leave some closed. So at this point, we are going to look at the input message. We won't keep long. We have about 30 minutes. We won't keep long. We'll finish right now. The most important thing is what we have done. So the input message actually is a pop-up, a small pop-up that comes the very moment you select the cell. Probably, let's just come here, this one, this cell that we selected. Let's say that we want to notify the person or whoever is going to enter a text in here that, see, the text we are going to enter here should be between 6 and 10 characters. So you can, you see, right now when I select this cell, nothing is happening. But I can come here and now go to input message, not settings, input message, and then I'll give a title. So maybe what's the title? I can say entry requirement, something like that. Anything you can type in there is up to you. Entry requirement. Please enter character. Okay, please enter a total of 6 to 10 characters, something like that. So please enter a total of 6 to 10 characters. Then I hit OK. So now you see I can go anywhere. When I come to select this cell, it will tell me entry requirement Please enter. You will get somebody's Excel. Somebody will bring you an Excel document or something. Then you will select a certain cell and this thing will appear and we're like, wow, Charlie, almost see something. It's nothing. That is what we have showed you. It's no magic. This is what the person did to make it look beautiful. Now, let's just say that here we want to enter values in D2. So we can come here, do data validation of, say, whole numbers, or let's say whole numbers. I normally prefer using decimal. Decimal can accept integers as well. So whole numbers or decimal. So you say 0 to 100, like that. Then probably you are working with some value, so you say okay. Now you see that when I select this one, it is telling me something beautiful, but this one isn't saying anything. So I can still come here and then see, but you can do them together before you click OK. So after doing the settings, I come to input message and then I say enter required value, something like that. So enter decimals from 0 to 100. Then I click OK. So it's as soon as I select that cell, it will tell me that enter decimals from 0 to 100. So if I go to enter 500 here, it will flag me. Good. So if I enter 100 here, it will do me good. If I enter 55.55, sorry, it will do me good. So that's that. Enter value, enter decimals from 0. Now, these two things that we have done, there's another thing we can do, which is the error. There's another thing we can do, which is checking the error to make sure that the error produces something. You see, right now when we enter any value, that is going to say the value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined in this cell. The same way when we come here and enter anything that is above the required, it will tell us the value doesn't sound so nice that every cell will produce the same error. This is a default error from Excel. So what we can do is to still come back here. So that means you can do all these three at the same time before you click OK. Come to error alert. Now let's pay attention here very, very well. There are actually 3 styles within the error alert. This one will stop you. This one will warn you. And then this one will give you an information. And listen, they are not just there like that. They are not just there like that. The stop will stop you from making the wrong entry. Warning will allow you with options to accept the wrong entry. It will allow you with options that see, stop or don't proceed, something of the sort. Then the information will only tell you that, listen, what you have done, there is a problem. So now let's try them without any errors and see. Without any error titling and error message, and then see. So let's select warning. Now check something. Let me enter 550. Look at it. It says that this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. Continue. It is telling you that there is a data value restriction, data validation restriction on the cell. But what you have entered doesn't match. Do you still want to use it? If you say yes, it will accept. Even though we are supposed to enter 0 to 100, when you use a warning style inside the error at data validation, it will accept it and still proceed for you to use it. So now let me just multiply this thing by, or let me just say here is equal to this cell times 5. You see, because times 5, we are not supposed to get anything above 500. You get it? You don't want to get anything above 500 because if we are multiplying 100 by 5, which is the highest number we are supposed to enter here, we should get 500. But here is the case that we have changed the data validation in here style, the error alert style, to warning. And like I said, don't take these things for granted, like the warning is just there to warn you. No, and it will stop you. Is that no? The stop will stop you like this. If the data is there already, there's nothing you do. So when I say 101, it will actually stop me from proceeding. The stop will actually stop me from proceeding. This one says it won't allow me to go. So I either cancel. When I cancel, it's because there are some old values in there. That's why we are still seeing. So I'm bringing it back to 0. So if I do 101, it says no, you can't proceed. You either cancel or you retry. You hit enter, either cancel or you retry. So I will hit enter again and I cancel. It brings me back to my 0. But if I come here and I select warning and I hit OK, this time round, if I enter 101, it will warn me. It will not stop me, but it will warn me that it doesn't match. Do you still want to continue? If I say yes, no problem. I'll use it for you. Since that's what you want. That is what it will do. The third one, let me bring it back to 0. The third one, which is the third style, which is information. If something is warning you and something is informing you, you know what information will do. It will not even bother what you have entered at all. So if you enter 120, it will tell you that this value doesn't match the data by okay, and it will still accept it. It is just warning you. It will not stop you. As I said, warn is just informing you. It's just informing you that, Charlie, whatever you have entered there, it doesn't match. So when I do something like 110 and I hit enter, you say that this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined in it for this cell. Okay, and this time around, see, unlike the stop, which told us to retry, this one just said, okay, let's continue. Then we went ahead and then it has accepted it. So that is that about the 3 styles. That is that. I like going back to this text column. That's that about the 3 styles. Now let's go back. Let's change it to stop because I don't want that kind of thing. Let's change it to stop, and then let me enter title. So let's say title, entry error. Let me put the title as entry error. Entry error. So let's just see the entered value is not between 0 to 100, or you can enter anything. Please enter values between 0 to you have entered the wrong value, or you have entered anything you want to type in there, but I'm just typing this. So the entered value is not between 0 to 100, or you have entered wrong values, anything you want to type in there. Then you hit OK. So once I hit OK, this time around, if I enter wrong value, say 1110, if you say the enter, so now you see the original Excel error message is gone. The original error Excel message is gone. So now it is saying that the entered value is not between 0 to 100. You can retry, do whatever that you want. So if I enter, the correct info is there. Now, in the same way, if you put warning in here, it will give you the same message. So 120, it will give you the same message. The entered value is not. So you must know what you are doing. If it is only warnings you want to give to the person, craft your own nice error message before you put there the warnings. If it's only warnings, just craft a nice message, then you put there. If it is only information you want to pass to the person, craft your own nice message and put there. Let me open the thing before I even talk plenty. So if it is only information, craft a nice message. And now you can disable these things too. You can disable the error, and then, so you see it is checked. Show input message when cell is selected. If you deselect it and I click OK, that message will not appear again. It is only working on this cell and not every other cell. So that message is not working again. You can decide to remove it. Even you can decide to remove the error message. Show error. I click OK. This time around, if I enter 120, nothing is going to happen. Nothing. Listen, the validation is still there. The validation is still there, but nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Yeah. It won't warn you. It won't do anything to you. You just go ahead and do whatever you want to do. So always make sure that these two are checked if you want to, or they are checked if you want to use those two features. In case you want to clear every validation, you just come here and then you say clear all. So in case you want to clear every validation, you just come here, clear all, everything will be cleared. And then you hit OK. The validation in here is gone. There's no validation here again. So I can enter my 8,000 something and it will still not warn me, not do anything to me. No validation is in here. But mind you, there is still validation in here. So if I enter anything, it will warn me or yell at me.